Muchas gracias para la amable introducción y muchas gracias a los organizadores por la invitación y por la oportunidad de hablar aquí y presentar aquí. Y mi comunicación voy a hacer en inglés. And I will continue to speak in English. And due to the time limit, I will restrict myself to one example from the literature, which is the Parzival of Wolfram von Eschenbach, a Middle High German courtly romance written around 1200-1210, containing about 25,000 lines. And it was very popular in the Middle Ages. As we can see on the sources we still have, which are 16 manuscripts with the full text, one print, and more than 70 fragments dating from the mid-13th to the late 15th century. And we can see here the manuscript G from the Bavarian State Library with the beginning of the text, and on the left we see the big I from the incipit, but it's in German, it's not Latin. And this manuscript also has 4 colored plates which are illustrating the story of Parzival, which of course deals with the young knight's struggle to become king of the Grail Kingdom. And as we know, the story is based upon Perceval ou le Comte du Graal by Chrétien de Troyes, which was written about 2 decades earlier, and which was dedicated to Philip I, Count of Flanders. But Wolfram, the poet of Parzival, claims that he used a different source, even though we know that he used Chrétien. He says at the end of his romance that Chrétien didn't tell the story correctly. And in Middle High German it goes like this: Ob von Treus Meister Christian diese Märe hat Unrecht getan, das mag wohl zürnen Kiot, der uns die rechten Märe entbot. Nicht mehr davon nur sprechen will ich, Wolfram von Eschenbach, wann als dort der Meister sprach. If Master Chrétien of Troyes has done wrong by this story, Kiot, who sent us the authentic tale, has good cause to be angry. I, Wolfram von Eschenbach, intend to speak no more of it than what the master uttered over there. And a little earlier on he says, Kiot, der Meister wohlbekannt, zu Dolet verworfen liegen fand, in heidenischer Schrifte, dirre Aventüre gestifte, which means the famous master Kiot found the prime version of this tale in heathenish script, and that is Arabic writing, lying all neglected in a corner of Toledo. So why is Wolfram inventing a source? Well, the idea is that he wanted to have something special, we believe. And also with this source found in Toledo, he is linking the whole romance to the Mediterranean. The reason for this could lie in his patron, who is Hermann I, Landgrave of Thuringia, who was born around 1155 and died 1217, and who was a great Maecenas of literature and art. And a lot of literature was made for him, and the Parzival, we believe, is one of them because he is mentioned there, and he is also the patron, or he is the dedication to a romance of Jean d'Orange, also by Wolfram von Eschenbach. In German it's called Willehalm. And what we still have are 2 psalters, and we see Hermann here on the Landgraf's Psalter. And there is a very similar one which can be found in Cividale, which is called the Elizabeth Psalter, and they are from the time when he was still alive. Unfortunately, we haven't got any literature sources from his period. His court, or one of his courts, was the Wartburg Castle, which is famous because Martin Luther translated the Bible there into German vernacular about 500 years ago. And to the left we can see the palace building, and here we see it a bit closer up, the west front, which is a 3-story building, and that was completed under Hermann's reign as well, so he was also a patron of architecture. And the whole thing is situated just in the center of Germany. So Hermann used art and literature for self-representation, and his connections are quite impressive. He was the nephew of Frederick I, the Holy Roman Emperor. He was presumably educated on the French court of Louis VII. He took part in the Crusade of 1197, where he came into contact with the Oriental culture. And he married his son Ludwig off to the Hungarian Princess Elizabeth, who is the famous Saint Elizabeth of Thuringia. And he also later supported Frederick II in his attempts to become emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. In the epics and romances dedicated to Hermann, his connections are being made visible by the material objects described in them. And I have now 3 examples from the Parzival, and I hope to illustrate that fact. And I will start with the first example of the knight Orilus, who is described in the Parzival in great detail. And he is equipped with objects from all over the known world and also from the Mediterranean area. So his helmet, for example, is forged by the famous blacksmith Trebuchet, who is also known from the Parzival by Chrétien. His shield is from Toledo, which was famous for the good qualities of shields. He is wearing a tunic of silk from Alexandria, and another piece of his armor, the knee pieces, are made in Bealcenan, which is either the or in the capital of Anjou, which should be Angers, but it's not said there. And his breastplate was made in Soissons. The second example is Kundrija. She is the messenger of the Grail community and of Indian origin. And she wears a woolen cloth which comes from Ghent. In French fashion it is tailored. And underneath she's got silk clothing, and also she wears a silk-lined hat from London. And so we can see the things come from all over the world. And the third example is the example of Gachmuret, who is the father of Parzival. He is king of 2 Asian lands and also in service for the Caliph of Baghdad. And here it is described in great detail, and I will read to you the English translation by Arthur Hatto. His tabard was of ample width. I doubt if any has taken its equal to battle since, and its hem reached down to the carpet. If I am any judge, it shone like a live fire burning in the night. There was no spot of faded color. Its dazzling light did not elude one's gaze. A weak eye could have cut itself upon it. It was figured with gold torn from a rock in the Caucasus mountain by claws of griffins, who guarded it then as they still do today. And this description, of course, reminds us of the famous tunic of Fernando de la Cerda, which is a little bit later, of course, but it is a rich silk samite with gold and silver thread showing the arms of Castile and Leon. And the mentioning of the griffins could mean that the textile was decorated with griffins, because there are a lot of examples for that. We also have an example from Germany. It's not a textile, but it's a sculpture. It's the tomb of Henry II of Lach, dating from exactly the same time as the tunic. And we can see also he is wearing a tunic with emblems of the coat of arms with castle. And also Gachmuret, Parzival's father, is equipped with a shield with a coat of arms. And it says there, det Pantel, das sin Vater trug, von Zobele auf seinen Schildmannslurg. They hammered the sable panther onto his shield as his father had borne before him. And this is the first example in a German romance where the inheritability of a heraldic device is described. And of course, the big cats were very famous as heraldic devices. And the leopards, panthers, and lions in the early heraldry, they all look very much the same. And I show you here the famous Guelph coat of arms, which dates from the same time as the epic, as this is the oldest example from the German-speaking area of a coat of arms with a big cat. And we have one which is even older. This is the effigy of Geoffrey Plantagenet, where we can see the 4 lions on his shield, which then later become the royal arms of England, which we can see here on a seal bag, and which, of course, can be seen still today on the national England football team. And we have another example from Spain. We've seen it already yesterday, of King Alfonso IX of Leon, who also bears the lion on his shield. To conclude, the Romance of Parzival connects the whole known world via the material objects described in it, and thus shows the far-ranging connections of the medieval courts. Hermann I, the patron of Wolfram, was interested in powerful politics, allowing him to put forward the idea that the king's power derives from the support and cooperation of the nobles, because Hermann himself was not a king. And he also used education, art, and literature as a means of self-representation. And the Romance itself is an example of the synergies created by the close connections between patrons, artisans, and knowledge producers. And I hope I could, in this 10 minutes, show a little bit of where I was going with my ideas. Thank you very much.